Now, another thing that I would definitely like to address in the first video, and I probably didn't articulate it as well as I could have. There's this perception around what sleep training is. Now, before I was introduced to this particular sleep training, what I had in my mind that sleep training is you just leave a baby to cry it out. So what that means is you put the baby down to sleep. You even switch off the monitors because you don't need to hear them cry because you're not going to respond. There is no way in hell I was going to be able to do that. But what our sleep therapist did share with us is that, listen, you as a parent sometimes respond immediately to any sound your baby makes, especially when they're sleeping, as in at night, without giving baby a moment to see them being a busy sleeper. Is he just being a busy noisy sleeper where he's making sounds but he's not actually awake, and that's the REM stage where he's a bit busy? Is he just complaining, or is he actually crying out and calling to you as his parent? And the cried out is nowhere in that. So when you start, it is about listening to hear when you start hearing baby. What is going on? What is this little person communicating to me? The way that we do it is you'll hear a sound. In the case of Mukogeki, it starts with like a and because I know my child, I know when it's a complaint and I know when it's just, he's making sounds, but I also know when he's crying. So I'll give an example of last night. He went to bed at around 7 p.m. He was very tired and cranky by the time he went to sleep, especially because he's a busybody now. Went to bed. At around 11 on the monitor, I hear, so I'm like, let me listen. I listen for about 2 minutes, and then he starts making sounds, then he starts singing, and then silence. And then he went back to sleep. And I don't know what was happening at that time because I'll make sure that there's more than one dummy in his crib when he goes to bed. The point I'm trying to make is if I had come in and disrupted him being okay, he's not crying. He complained a little bit. He started talking, playing, singing, eventually settled himself and went back to sleep. If in principle I could share it with you, that's how the sleep therapy that we did, that's the approach, is learning what your baby's saying to you. Not every sound is a cry. Not every sound that a child makes is, mommy, come and get me. Now, be mindful of the fact that I'm talking about somebody who we started this when he was 11 months old, and now he's over 12 months or a year old. Having said that, the night before that, he did not sleep. He slept through the night, and the night before that, he didn't sleep. He was crying and needed attention. So what happens when now the complaints become cries? Come into the room, you check baby. What does he need? Is he too hot? Especially in winter, this is something that we really need to think about as parents, is making the space where baby is sleeping too hot with heaters or too many layers. Sometimes baby's just too hot and uncomfortable. Our baby sleeps in a sleeping bag that you zip up. We're on a 2.5 tog, which is the thickness. It's a nice winter thickness. There's even a guide, which I'm happy, I'll put it up on the screen, a guide that tells you how many layers and things babies should be wearing at a particular temperature, because we do have a tendency, especially as Black parents, to like put too many blankets on baby. So come and check. Does he need his dummy? Is he looking for his dummy? Is he comfortable? Maybe he's too hot. Maybe he needs to be changed position. You give him a pat on the bum, and I'll come and say, it's sleepy time, because I try to not use a big voice because we're not waking up from the nap. It's not the morning, and I settle him. He has a humidifier and a heater in his room, so I'm constantly checking, is everything fine? Sometimes, especially in this crib, his dummy falls out. Hence, we put more than one dummy. Check him, lay him back down, and give him his dummy. Then sometimes he complains. I will leave the room, stand outside the door, wait to hear if he's fine. If he complains, I come settle him again. Maybe on the fourth or fifth time that the complaint has now been upgraded to a cry, I am going to do the natural thing that any mother will want to do, which is pick up my baby and comfort him. Pick him up, put him back down, try and resettle him. Sometimes by this point, he's settled. He sucks on his dummy, and I comfortably leave, close the door, and I go straight back to bed and don't hear from him again until the morning. However, there are days where I can feel in my gut that my baby needs me, especially the way that he's crying. It helps to have a comfortable rocking chair with a footstool. That's when I take him out of his bed, still in his sleeping bag, and I settle him. And I rock him. Sometimes I'll sing to him or just say, shh, 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 shh. Or say, na, 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 until he goes back to sleep and I put him back in his bed. So I'm making it sound very simple. It is extremely difficult, especially if it's 2 a.m. and you are coming out of the deepest of sleeps and you're dizzy, you're also cold, and maybe your baby's screaming and you need to pee. It's difficult, but it gets better because baby starts to learn. Okay, either whenever I make a sound, these people run to get me, or he learns that, hey, I'm actually okay alone. I don't need anything. But he does let me know when he needs his mommy. In the week that he was sick, he needed 100% full attention from me. I wasn't even at work at that time. I would do any admin I needed to do during his nap time. And even then, he would fall asleep, not by me putting him in the crib. He would fall asleep on my chest because he needed his mommy. In the moments where he was fine, when he started to get better, I'd put him in to nap. I'd probably hear him for about 10 minutes on the monitor, and then eventually he falls asleep. So just to help you understand, there is no crying it out. That's not what we're trying to do. I think that is an extremely traumatic experience for a baby to have that will affect him highly when he becomes an adult. And I'm very, very conscious and aware that that is not something that I want for my child, for him to experience any kind of trauma, later having, abandonment or neglect issues and the like. So that's that with regards to where we are, but also just with regards to, is it crying out? And the fact that it's not going to be the same every day, and you cannot have the expectation that it'll be the same every day. Are there mothers or parents who are dealing with babies that literally sleep consistently every night? Yes, they are there. In the same way that there are people who go to bed and hear nothing and sleep throughout the night. That's just how it is. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Of course, any parenting tips, parenting questions, sleep therapy questions, I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom and a parent who's trying to go the woke route, try to marry science with all the things that I grew up with, that our moms taught us. But hopefully you can get some answers in this platform, on this platform, in this little community. Comment down below, send your questions. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell.